What's going on out there in motor design land, Blue Marble Riders? Someone has put something in the water or changed the prescriptions of the designer's glasses, because rather than the usual fare of functional-looking praying mantis faces mounted on transformer-like bodywork and finished in a palette of kindergarten Crayola paint schemes, we're getting a slew of equally, if not more capable, svelte and agile-looking beauties, seemingly hand-sculpted from clay, machined from a single billet, and in colors that actually seem to accentuate the whole design rather than individual panels, flaps and fasteners. It's overwhelming, but in a good way. I mean, this is the third week in a row I've had to talk about a gorgeous-looking bike. And continuing this movement back towards artistic design, Triumph have just surprised many of us by giving their quirky but muscular Triumph Speed Triple a rework. This is more than putting a miniskirt on Shrek and giving him a gym membership. This is genetic engineering. While the new Triumph Speed Triple 1200RR still has a hint of Speed Triple DNA, someone seems to have slipped in some chromosomes from Mondello Delario, Bologna, and dare I say it, Varese in this latest Speed Triple. Wow! It comes in two striking colors, a lustrous red hopper in storm grey, and there's a lower profile pearl white version called crystal white and storm grey for us older gents who may want to be less obvious to the old bill. Before we go on too much about what this bike looks like, let's discuss the similarities of the RR to the RS, because basically this is where the RR comes from. They both have the same 1160cc triple engine and cast aluminum frame. The engine in the RR is tuned identically to that in the RS with the same gear ratios. The RS feels torquey down low and has a blazing top end, which is typical of the balance the triple strikes between a torquey twin and the top end power of an inline four-cylinder bike. It's really the best of both worlds. Of course, what really separates the 1200RR from the RS is its style. The RR's gorgeous new cockpit fairing is sculpted with a single round headlight, which I think is taken from the Rocket. The cockpit fairing flows backwards into the traditional Speed Triple double-tubed frame, reminding us of this bike's heritage and differentiating it from its Italian competitors. The cockpit's been kept really quite clean and uncluttered by apparently partially hiding some of the lines and cables and giving it a large flat TFT screen rather than gauges, although I can still see some of the cables. Triumph themselves call the RR's lower rider ergos a committed and engaged riding position. The clip-ons are lower than the more upright RS's handlebars and have been moved forward 50mm or 2.5 inches, but more importantly down by quite a substantial 135mm or 5.5 inches. The more serious Sport Cafe nose-down focus is further emphasized by the higher and slightly rearward positioning of the rear sets compared to its naked cousin, the RS. From the front three-quarter and the rear, the bike looks absolutely amazing, with the side perhaps giving away a bit too much of its older Speed Triple's heritage, but from the rear, again, this bike is gorgeous, compact, planted with big cat-like pouncy haunches and a rear taillight that looks pretty special. It's the suspension, brakes and wheels on the RR that really differentiate it from its cousin though. The suspension is where the RR trumps the RS completely. While the RS has Ohlins front and rear, the RR has the wonderful top-of-the-line electronically adjustable semi-active Ohlins SEC 2.0 suspension. While the RS suspension gets praise for its poise when pushed, it has been criticized by some as overly firm when riding at a relaxed pace. The RR will not suffer from this. By using the 5-inch TFT, not only are there several rider modes to choose, which can be done on the fly by the way, but each mode is also customizable. Moreover, and perhaps most amazing, is the semi-active bit, where the RR senses how you're riding, and together with the throttle, brake, IMUs, and suspension sensors, the bike continually monitors and adjusts the suspension's rebound and damping in response to acceleration, braking, speed, rider inputs, and road conditions to carve you through corners with confidence, control, and comfort. Some purists may be disillusioned with this and all the faffrey involved in setting up the suspension, but I'm guessing most riders will initially tweak and adjust until they find a couple of settings that really suit their needs. I certainly enjoy riding without fiddling, but I'll not knock this until I've tried it. The brakes are track-spec radially mounted twin monoblock Brembo Stylema calipers and lightweight front discs. There's no doubt that as well as this bike goes, it will stop just as exquisitely. The Brembo master cylinder is adjustable for span and ratio, meaning the control you'll have is epic. With twin pop Brembos on the back and cornering ABS, you will need to be really overconfident to hurt yourself on this beast. Wheels are cast aluminium and come shod with Supercorsa SP V3 tyres, although you can get the RR with the option of the track-only and approved super sticky Pirelli Supercorsa SC2 V3s. The engine is unchanged from the 2021 Speed Triple RS, which was released earlier this year, but it is worthy of a recap. The 1160cc Triple produces 180 PS, which is 177 horsepower at 10,750 RPM, and 125 Newton meters or 92 foot-pounds of torque at 9,000 RPM. The RS wowed many with its manners around town and its insane top end. But I want to take a pause here and say that while Triumph project the Triple as a perfect bridge between a twin and a four, many may sneer and say the Triple's peak torque comes in at 9,000 RPM and peak power at nearly 11,000 RPM. But that's not the point. The Speed Twins Triple has a flat torque curve which never dips below 100 Newton meters from 3,500 RPM all the way to its 11,000 RPM redline. If we compare that to BMW's four-cylinder in the 2021 S1000R Street Fighter, albeit nearly 200cc less in capacity, the BMW's engine produces its maximum horsepower of 165, just about the same as the Street Triples at nearly 11,000 RPM. And the BMW's Mach Torque comes in at 9250 RPM, which again is similar to the RR's, but its torque curve is anything but flat. So that is the advantage of a Triple over an inline four. And I'm heading somewhere with this. I feel this could be a young man's sport tourer. I know, shocking, but with cruise control, active suspension, comfort, and the new luggage they're offering with this bike, I think we have potentially yet another amazing choice in the sport tourer category, obviously with the pendulum heavily weighted towards the sports side of the sport touring equation. Exciting time for us riders though. As you can well imagine, this bike does not come cheap. It's perhaps Triumph's first real foray into the premium market, and it's £2,500 or $2,500 US more expensive than the RS. If I was picky, and I have been known to be, I would suggest Triumph should have included heated grips and a tire pressure monitoring system for the extra coin as well. But that's not going to be a deal breaker for the prospective purchaser already willing to drop over 23,000 Canadian, 21,000 US or 18,000 pounds on this bike. But to me the RS and RR are different bikes and should not be compared. One is a great street fighter of the boy racer ilk, and the RR is a more focused premium scalpel. Despite the more focused race side to this bike, with the active suspension, cruise control, and the luggage this comes with, this could end up being a popular sports tourer, much like the amazing BMW S1000RR is actually turning out to be. But before we run away with ourselves, we do have to remember that in this price range, we also have bikes like the S1000RR, KTM's Super Duke, Aprilia's Tuono V4, and perhaps even Guzzi's V100 Centennial Edition with the same active suspension, and although not directly comparable, the 800 Superveloce, which I think will appeal for the rider who likes the looks on the RR. There's no doubt, in conclusion, that some people may feel let down that Triumph are avoiding the release of a Daytona liter bike. I think Triumph have only messed one thing up with this bike: the name. As good as the Speed Triple RS and its predecessors are and were, Triumph seems to be heading in a new trajectory both as a company and with this bike. Perhaps they should have named this bike something different, perhaps the Comet, in keeping with the Rocket. It certainly looks like a future classic and is worthy of its own name, if only to separate it from its street-fighting boy racer sibling. For me, this is the first premium and good-looking Triumph that actually competes favourably with the Italian marques. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you hooked by the looks and the performance of the Street Triple 1200RR? Or would you spend your money elsewhere for an alternative premium bike? Once again, thanks for watching everyone. If this is the first time you've watched, please consider subscribing. I do motorcycle reviews, motorcycle-related product reviews, off-road and on-road vlogs as well as tours. Even though I'm not the most diligent poster, don't forget to follow me on social media. That's Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. And to like. And especially, I'm begging you here folks, subscribe. And don't forget to click the bell so that you're notified whenever I release a video. This is the Blue Marble Rider, out.